Unprecedented protests all over Cuba on Sunday have elected officials speaking out. President Joe Biden calling the unrest a clarion call for freedom.
The United States stands firmly with the people of Cuba. We call on the government of Cuba to refrain from violence or attempts to silence the voice of the people of Cuba.
The White House showing solidarity with those protesting government failures like ongoing food shortages, the cost of living, and the handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. People shouted "Unite" and "Freedom" as many clashed with police during the rare and historic protests. The country is in the midst of its worst economic crisis in decades. The pandemic brought Cuba's tourism industry to a standstill. Now, a quality of life crisis has driven protesters to call for Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel to step down. Some lawmakers are hoping President Biden overturns Trump administration policies that tighten trade embargoes with Cuba. But others, like Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis, the daughter of a Cuban immigrant, disagree, saying President Obama's plan to normalize relationships with Cuba would do more harm. One of 10 Cuban Americans serving in Congress, she released this statement saying, quote, "I hope this is the beginning of real change toward freedom and democracy on the island. President Biden, as leader of the free world, must do all he can to influence this change." Cuban Senator Marco Rubio also joined those calls, tweeting, "Socialism promises guaranteed food, medicine, and income if you give up your freedom. When, as always, it fails to deliver, you don't get your freedom back."
People are scared. The people are hungry. The people are fed up.
Retired Auxiliary Bishop Octavio Cisneros said the oppression taking place in his home country is very much tied to the lack of freedoms faced by Cuban Catholics.
Together with our prayers, we have to do something. The vacation they experienced in Cuba was not a reality, and the reality can be seen now in the streets, which they have been caught up by the socialist government.
Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel has called for supporters of his Communist Party to counter the protesters in the streets. They're up against that, as well as a 9 p.m. curfew that was put in place because of the pandemic. Jessica Easthope, Currents News. Emily?
Jess, the news of what's happening on the ground in Havana right now is severely delayed. What can you tell us about how the government there is controlling even that aspect of this social unrest?
Yeah, that's right. The government has actually cut off widespread internet access, and so it's tough to get the latest numbers when it comes to arrests or maybe even injuries and fatalities that those protests might have caused. And remember, now all of this is happening during a surge of COVID cases that is just plowing through Cuba. The number of COVID cases has tripled there in just 2 weeks. Emily?
Thank you for that report, Jess.
If you're watching Currents News on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell to get updates to all of our newest content, because we are putting your faith in the news.